Why I didn't know about this tool much faster, as now, thanks to NTFY, I can receive all my monitoring messages in one application, and not only monitoring messages, but additional server messages also. The coolest part is that I can receive notifications from my terminal once some process has finished. Either it's a large file to be downloaded or a long-running security scan. I receive message once it's finished. Video isn't sponsored by anybody. I'm just creating it to show you the great tool that I have found and that I will be using myself, as it saves me a lot of time. Basically, it will save me a lot of time, and it's pretty powerful. The only thing to have the limitations, that is your imagination, as I already see around 100 uses how I can implement it daily to receive the whole notifications that I want. This is a basic video. If you want to deep dive inside the whole application and do some custom modifications, configurations, etc., you can go to the official NTFY website and you can find several things how you can do some custom mods, some changes, some improvements, and stuff like that. But basically, everything what this tool represents is a good way to receive notifications from your terminal, from your server, even from Windows. Windows, it's also capable to send the push notifications to your server and to your phone once some process has ended, started, stopped, or died. So without further ado, let's dig into setup. Setup is pretty easy and straightforward. Get started to install Docker and deploy the Docker NTFY container by downloading its image to our Linux VPS server. Firstly, let's update our repositories if there's anything to update. Once we have done the updating process, we can move to next stage, installing the Docker. If you are new to Docker and you don't know what it is and you are now wondering how long it will take to install it or configure it, well, I will try to explain it in short, as that is pretty simple, straightforwarding process. Basically, to install the Docker, we just need to run this one command. All the commands will be inside the description below and inside my blog as well. So with this command, we will install Docker. Adding I at the end means that it will not bother us with any questions. And while the Docker itself is installing on the VPS, I would like to say that I pretty much like Docker, as it gives me the opportunity to host several projects on one VPS, as each project can have its own container. Therefore, firstly, it saves a lot of resources, it saves me a lot of time, and also saves me a lot of expenses. Because if I would like to host everything that I have, I would need to have a lot of VPS servers to manage them, to update them. It would take me a bunch of time. Of course, there are automatic management solutions for that. But anyhow, I think it's pretty cool to use Docker, since also using the Docker, when I'm transferring to a new server, I don't need to think about if I have installed everything what I need. I just run this command, move my image Docker, build it, and deploy it. And everything what I have written inside the Docker file itself, it's already automatically installed and deployed inside the container. So it's pretty easy and fast to move the Docker images, Docker containers around. And it's basically, if you want to upgrade to much stronger or to some VPS or to some cloud or something, it's very straightforwarding and doesn't require too much deep knowledge or too much time. With Docker also, developers can do a lot of crazy things, and they can also deploy themselves. And to have continuous deployments, I think with Docker it's the straightforward straightforward solution, also including GitHub Actions and other tools. We have our Docker environment set up. We can move to the next step. Since iOS are doing some things a bit differently, then NTFY application will not send push notifications to your iOS device. But gladly, there is a workaround for this solution. So without spending a lot of time and making this video long, I will go right straight away to that workaround. But Android users, you can script this part, but I would suggest that you do the same because you will get additional features in your application, and who doesn't like the free additional features if they are available. So firstly, let's create a new folder. The folder can be created at any location, but in this case scenario, let's keep the configuration in etc, because etc in Linux is mostly used for configurations and stuff like that. And once we have our new folder, let's create a configuration file. The file is YAML format, so it's pretty easy to manage it because, well, it's like any configuration file. Now, once we have created an empty file, you have a question, hey Yanis, where we can get those configuration parameters? Will we write them with our hands? And the answer is no. The application developer has the configuration file in their GitHub repository. The GitHub repository link will be linked down in the description and also in my blog. So let's go to the GitHub and just copy that file. Once we have copied, let's put it inside our empty created configuration file. I'm using iOS, so I will use Command V. If you're using Windows, you can press Ctrl V and it should go in, or in some terminal editors, you can right click and just paste it. We'll do changes to 2 rows. Firstly, let's search for base URL. Here we have found it. Let's uncomment it and enter our server's IP address or hostname. Don't forget HTTP. In my case, it will be ntfy.valters.eu. That stands for Europe. And now let's search for upstream. And let's uncomment this. This is for iOS users so that iOS can ping our phones, since iOS is doing things differently as mentioned before. And now you see that there is some kind of different URL inside, and you are wondering if it is secure actually to do this kind of thing, and will others see my messages? And the answer is no. Others will not see your messages since this URL is hosted by the app developer, and the only thing that will be passed to this URL will be a message ID. Once the message ID will reach the URL, it automatically will ping your application and require the application to take the information from your server. So to this URL, there will be no messages passed, only the message ID. So it's secure and nobody will see your messages that are hosted on your server and that are sent by your server itself. So it's a secure way. And also workaround as we would like to receive notifications in our iOS devices. Android devices by default will receive notifications because Android is not so locked down. So once we have done all these changes, let's save it by pressing Ctrl X, Ctrl X. Let's approve it and Ctrl M. And our configuration file is saved. Let's create one more folder that will be used for caching. NTFY. Already spelled Spelling wrong. Okay, so we now have the folder also for caching, and let's run our Docker container. For the first time, it will download the Docker image itself, and then it will run the Docker container. We have specified that it will be using this location for caching. This location will be mounted inside the Docker image location. Also, for the configuration file location, we'll be using port 80, and this will be the Docker image that we will be using. And also the cache file that will be used for our messages and to have them cached, especially for iOS, so that once the application will ping it, it will go straight to our server and get the message. And voila, Docker image is downloaded and Docker container is started. Check our Docker image if it is working. And we can see that we have a Docker container that is running with this ID using this image. It's created 2 minutes ago and it's up 2 minutes already. And it uses port 80. So now we see that our Docker container is working and functional. Now we can go to our browser and enter http:// your server IP address, or if you're using subdomain or domain, then your domain or subdomain. I'm using a subdomain, so we can see that NTFY is now installed, running in our Docker, and it is functioning. Now we will go to the next step, installing the iOS and Android applications on the phone and creating topics. Device. Let's go to the Google Play Store. Let's enter into the search NTFY, notify, and we see the first of all, notify put post to your phone. Click on install. It installs pretty quickly. Now we need to wait. It downloads pretty quickly. Now we need to wait for the installation. Once the application is installed, let's click on open. Of course, we want to receive notifications. Once the installation is done, let's open the application and press on the plus sign. Now we need to subscribe to a topic. Let's create a topic, Valters, and we will use Otter server since we have our own server. I'm using the subdomain with HTTP. If you're using IP, you need to enter your IP address or your domain or subdomain. And let's click subscribe. And now we have subscribed to our server. The topics can be different and you can create them as an unlimited amount, but let's try our first topic to see if everything will come to our application. I will send hi from VPS and let's add our server. Slash our at the end we need to add our topic. And boom, here we have the notification in our Android application from our Linux VPS running Docker. How awesome is that? Now you can get plenty of notifications for everything that you do. Click on App Store, install NTFY or Notify. Click on the first result, click on Get, confirm the installation. Once the installation is done, let's open the application. Let's allow the notifications. Click on the plus sign and let's subscribe to our previous topic, Valters. If you use different, then you can use yours. Let's use another server. Enter the IP address or subdomain or domain. The topics can be used multiple, so you can use them in the future as much as you like. Once done, click on subscribe, and now we are subscribed to our topic. Let's run the same message in our terminal to see if it will go to the iOS device also. And here we have a push notification on our iOS saying hi from VPS iOS. So now we can 100% use NTFY and start using it daily, and it will save us a lot of time and a lot of patience as well. So with all that, let's look into a few scenarios how we could use it, let's say daily. Let's say we have a scenario when we want to know once our server is back online. We can basically do ping. I have a test domain, subdomain, and let's give it a 3 attempts. We can use ampersands to say that, hey, it is up, or it's just up, and send to our NTFY, to our topic, to our server, our topic. But the ampersand is when a successful command happens, but we can do the opposite to alert us if the host is down and not responding. To achieve that, let's change ampersands into vertical brackets. The vertical brackets means opposite of the success. Now let's try to ping a host, and once the host is down, we should receive the message. I'll put the test server onto the reboot, and it tries 3 attempts. And boom, we have our message that our server is dead. This is one of several things that we can actually try and do. Also, we can try, if we are downloading large file, that we want to have it automatically notify us once it's done, or building a Docker image. The only thing in this great application is your imagination. You can implement it in anything that you can think about. Let's try something crazy. We can use ampersands and vertical brackets to make them work together and do an amazing thing. For example, let's try to ping my subdomain with 3 attempts, and let's say curl -d, it's down. So basically, when the host will be down, I should receive this message. To my topic Valters. Just a reminder, you can create a lot of topics, and let's use now ampersands to say that it's up. It's up. And let's try it now. Well, now I received a message that it's up, and let's try it again with down. Now we should receive a message that the host is down. And here we have a message that host is down and the host is back up. Let's try if it is back up. Yep, the host is back up. So we received the message that the host went down and also that the host is up, back and running. And this is possible to implement in any application, in anything that you are doing. The live scenarios that, let's say, it goes down, it comes up, you get notification. If the file is downloaded successfully or has failed, you can define your scenarios. Also, this can be used in Cron, in several other things as well. Applications that you are working on, including PowerShell, Python, Bash scripts, any script that you are working on. I guess it's also possible to include it in PHP scripts. If I would have known this application before, or it would be developed before earlier, I would save a lot of time that I have spent waiting on some tests, scripts, or penetration testing scans to finish. I would save a lot of time by receiving the notification once it's finished, and I could just relax, mix myself some tea or coffee, and do some things around the house. But we tried to ping our server. Once the server went down, we received a notification. Once the server came up back live, we also received notification. So now let's try to have a use case when our updates are finished. This can be used if you are running some long-running installations. You are running some upgrades. We will not run upgrades at the moment since it will take a lot of time and I don't want to upgrade currently the server itself. So let's run just a normal update. Let's add ampersand and say curl d. The update is done. And let's add our server with our topic. Bam, now our update is running. And once our Linux repositories are updated, we receive the message that the update is done. How awesome is this software? I believe it's really awesome, and I believe that the software developers should receive a large kudos for giving this to free use so that we can save a lot of our time and implement it in any crazy way that we want. One more thing I will show you from the use cases. Let's say you're running some daily backup jobs that you are doing. Let's say you're using MySQL or any other database, and you have a SH script that you are using to back up your MySQL database, and you are running it using Cron. In Cron, to set up this kind of notifications is pretty easy. Let's say we have our time, the location to the script, and ampersands if the backup is done successfully, and we have added if the backup has failed. So now we will receive notifications if the backup is successfully or the backup has failed. So we are notified and we can react upon it at any time. Another thing that I will definitely use to schedule some reminders for myself from the server, as the NTFY service offers that integrated inside, is just a reminder in the future. Let's remind me in 10 seconds a message. Hey, I'm 10 seconds older. And of course, we need to specify our server. And 10 seconds later, we will receive our notification. I needed to actually put 5 seconds. And here we have the notification that the message is 10 seconds older. So this is something that I will definitely add to some things that I do, as it brings great value to my daily activities, daily work, daily schedule, and everything. And a lot about Android, iOS, basically everything happens the same on them. And we have done some use cases scenarios, but we have forgotten a bit about NTFY web interface. I guess the web interface will be something that you will not use regularly, or if you have a large team, then you can also use the web interface to do communications. Let's subscribe to our topic. We can see all the messages that we have received, and we can also do chat. If we do like enter the message and send it, all our devices will pick it up and receive push notifications. Therefore, you can do the communication chats between your team members and inside. But we can do also emojis as well, because the NTFY allows that to use emojis inside the messages, and I will show that a bit later. But now let's don't forget about very important thing is to add password protectivity, because, well, you know, we don't want anybody to snoop around into our like messages, as sometimes the messages can contain a critical information that can be used by the bad actors on hacking your services or your servers or your devices. So let's go here. We need to put in our server. Then we need to put in username, password, and add. So now, next time when we will go to the web browser, it should ask us for username and password. After filming this video, I decided to try add the login function for NTFY, but I didn't succeed it in the Docker. But I found an alternative solution to show you if you want to start using NTFY while you investigate, or I will post a short video in shorts about the login once I will find it. So basically the workaround currently is to disable the web UI that basically we will not use. So let's go to our etc NTFY server.jml. Let's search for web root. If you want to search, you need to click Control V. Once you type in what you want to find, you just click Enter. Here you can see that there's a web root and it's showing slash. So I will just add a new entry, the same web root, and put it in disable. Save it with Control X, click Y, and Control M. Now, once we will launch our Docker container with the same parameters, also this will be added to the blog and description, we can see that our Docker container is up and running. And once, let's say, we decide to go to the web page, let's go in, we see that the web UI is not responsive. But if we send a message, I tried it before, the messages still are coming in, everything works without any problems, issues. So I suggest to you, don't leave your web UI open, since anybody from the internet can go in, read the messages, start spamming messages to you, and do some stuff. So I suggest you to do this procedure to close the web UI. That's for your own safety and for your data safety, and also if you are managing clients and using this software NTFY, it will protect you from critical information being leaked. So with all that said, in my blog, I will add one more thing while to ping it host for a long time and only send a message once the host is up, because this video is already taking too long. But one more thing before ending the video. What I like about NTFY is that it also asks you to subscribe. So I hope that this video was very useful for you and you have found some useful information. So if yes, please subscribe, leave a comment, write your use cases for what you are using NTFY, and share the knowledge, share the use cases with other people so that we can make the IT much better and better. So please subscribe and I'll see you around. The emoji list you can get inside the NTFY webpage.